Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 26th of May. So today, early morning, our second last guests left the center. And here, Javanapanyo also getting normal lifestyle, getting used to with the monastic duties and monastic life, and I haven't managed to give much instruction and teachings yet. But he's enjoying the monastic life, and sorry.
Puppy trying to fold this and put it on.
And he's learning how to fold the robes and put it up, and he's expecting to be perfect straight away, and sometimes he annoyed himself and is wearing a robe like wearing a kilt, putting the robe on the floor and lie down and rolling around to put up the robe on. So this is what's happening now. But slowly now he's getting to know the ins and outs of the robe and knowing how to fold the robes. So slowly he will get used to with the wearing a robe. So he is trying to copy us and want to be perfect. So he forgot that we have been a monk for 20 odd years. He's just 1 year old. A week old. So gradually he will get used to with it later on. Monastic practice actually is we have to remember that it emphasizes the simplicity and living mindful and always training the mind through everyday life rather than elaborate rituals or elaborate concentrated retreats. So the key principle is that every activity becomes practice when you become a monk. Once you become a monk, whatever we do, we got to be doing it mindfully. And when we are doing again, there will be people not satisfied, or they will be making comments and so on. In those situations, we simply become mindful. So whether we are sweeping the floors or monastic grounds, or eating or cleaning the bowls, and cutting the grass or weeding the grasses, even tidying the places, these are the activities. Sounds simple and nothing much, but we regularly do it. So, and then when we are doing it regularly, then it's a form of a meditation. And further on, as a monk, we always respect senior monks, and then serving senior monks and caring senior monks. So that's also part of the monastic life, which is the reason why whenever we see monks, they all bow down to the senior monk, and that's how it creates the harmony in the community. And then apart from that, there are formal practices like the morning chanting and evening chanting. So try not to miss if possible, and performing these evening and morning chantings are also one of the essential part of the monastic life. And the idea is to begin the day with a mindfulness and close to the Buddha and the Dhamma and also a Sangha, and avoiding any laziness. So that is the main daily routine, that formal practices that we do in the morning and in the evening. There's one more thing that I haven't much practiced and haven't much able to introduce, which the one that whenever our members of a community comes to offer, we should be placing the bowls rather than waiting for lay people to put the bowls on for the offerings. So that is what is still lacking, and we haven't managed to practice it yet. So like when they come, we put our bowls. So when we put our bowls, first of all we rinse it with the warm water, just to making sure that it's clean, and placing the bowls. Yeah, and that's the one thing that we haven't managed to successfully done, simply because some days there are no one, and some days there are people coming to offer, and again some days, despite my wish not to eat on the table, sometimes our members, they have a very limited time of visiting the center, and they wish to offer food as soon as possible and go away. But they also prefer monks to eat, relax and enjoy the meal. So they request us to sit on a table, and that's how there is a lack of continued consistency. But nevertheless, we are still trying our best to eat in bowls, so that everybody become familiar with it. It's simply we cannot put or cannot practice consistently because of the uncertainty of our members coming, and uncertainty of food that we receive. And then obviously we do go alms around weekly, certain places based on their availability. This is a tradition strongly emphasized by the Buddha, that we should be going around and collecting the food. And here it's not collecting the food as per se, but it's helping our members to gain an opportunity to offer and gain the merit. And then when we are walking towards it, in a way it is also mindful walk. So we are practicing mindfulness, which is the reason when we go for a walk, most of the time we walk silently, being mindful of each steps that we put, each step that we walk towards the house that we collect the alms, and keeping them our eyes more lowered, and then rather than trying to search or being nosy, and try to avoid any casual conversations, or particularly the essence-less conversation called flavorous, or the jokes and so on. But rather, if anything related to the Dhamma, we could. So that's another part of the practice that we are normally doing, which in the past we've been doing on Mondays and Thursdays and Friday. Now Monday's been today. The family that normally offers on a Monday came to speak with me and said that on Mondays they feel they are unavailable, so they would like to change to Friday. And when the Thursday one again, we haven't confirmed since a month now that we will be collecting. So these are the alms collection that we have been practicing here too. And these, I try to maintain it, and we should be trying to maintain such a tradition. Apart from that, even at the center, whenever people come to offer the dana, if they have enough time, we always try to do this small ceremony, a ceremony of giving an opportunity to observe the 5 precepts, offering the dana, offering the Buddha puja, and then practice of a meditation before the meal. So in this way, our members, those who come to the temple, will have an opportunity to practice and learn the Dhamma as well. And obviously, we are not taking meals afternoon, so that means once we have finished our meal in the afternoon, so that will be the end. And also we try not to store food as much as possible, and not to cook as much as possible unless it's necessary, then we will, but try not to cook. Especially when I am staying alone, I try not to cook at all. Whatever is there, I rely on it. Sometimes just the fruits, and other times just the nuts. And obviously in those days, occasionally taking the breakfast. And especially if there are other guest monks, then I take breakfast. But other time, I try not to take the breakfast too. So it's basically the practicing the cultivation of a contentment with little rather than many, or rather than wishing to get more or have more. And further on, that's again to check ourselves about our indulgence in the food and different items of food. So reducing attachment to the tastes. And our center is one of the classic example that you will not have a same type of meal every day. Not like in other temples, like in Thai temples, you will get the Thai food almost every single day, and in Sri Lankan temples, they will get the Sri Lankan food almost every day, and in Burmese, almost every day there's Burmese food. Whereas here in our center, almost every day a different food. Some days we have Thai food, other days we have a Sri Lankan food, and other days a British or continental, and other days a Nepalese food. So sometimes I tell a joke about my stomach as like a Russian tank. Everything fits in and everything digests. Adjust all sorts of tests. And sometimes a McDonald's. So everything digests. But although sometimes do suffer with the gas and sometimes a little bit of a pain, but again, I never complain about that. I just eat simply to live. That's why the Buddha's teaching says, eat to live, not live to eat. So this is the teachings of the Buddha. But obviously it's very difficult for so many other monks. They can't eat other ethnic groups' meal or food. So sometimes can be challenging. And that's the a part of the practice that we have been doing. So we adjust and learn to live with such practices. And then the very important is that simple living simple life, and living like not in a luxurious beds and not fancy clothes, and having a few possessions, only necessary possessions, not much. And then quite often we live secluded, and that's why whenever we don't see anyone, some days we see nobody coming to the temple, and that's the time we reflect and study and meditate. And that's the beauty that we have received. This monastery here, far away from the city, and not disturbed by the many crowds. So we have more time to self-reflect. And this is the beauty that we have. So whenever we are living, when we don't see anybody coming to the temple, don't be discouraged, thinking that this is my opportunity to practice. So just do a walking meditation, or cleaning, or weeding, and sweeping. And these are little things that we do it with a great respect to the center, and also each time when we are doing with a mind of clear, and a clear mind. And then endurance, enduring the heat and cold or discomforts, which is again very hard one to practice. But once we become a monk, we have to learn to endure these weather changes and different weathers and discomforts. Sometimes monks can be very demanding for the comfort, and that's actually not a good thing. As a monk, we should be easy feeding, easy living, and easy comfort, and endure to the discomforts. So it helps us to reveal our attachment and reaction of the mind, and we're able to free ourselves. So that's also another task that we have to learn. And further on, with that endurance, we are also mindfully doing that. Whether we are hoovering the hall or the cottage, or what's called a sweeping, and also tidying around the kitchen, or washing, and that's again washing bowls, also one critical practice as well. Although nowadays our members come and then help us to wash, but the first priority should be that we wash our own bowls to begin with. But again, if we have a senior monks, first we wash the senior monk's bowl. So first we take the senior monk's bowl, wash it, dry it, and then we wash our bowls. And then we also have to learn how to amend or swaying robes whenever there's some holes or some damage takes place. And this is how we will be learning to endure, as well as living limited possessions and taking care of it. So that's why the entire temple is like we are taking care of it and making sure that everything is in line with it. Now, in terms of the practice, again, we practice both. Do not struggle that I should be practicing samatha or I should be practicing vipassana. We always think that we are practicing hand in hand both. Some days we are practicing samatha or the concentration practice strictly. Other times we are practicing vipassana, or reflecting or recollecting and wisely analyzing it. The incidents and emotions and feelings and accidents, or even the communication with other people, we always try to be mindful and try to understand the true meanings of it. So that's why whenever we think about the practice of a meditation, don't struggle, just to practice and just to be mindful. And some days we may sit for a long, other days just a short period of a time, and then that is just like a formal practices. And we should not be attached to that formal practices alone. In fact, we do formal practices only twice a day at most. There are exceptions, but mostly we practice twice a day. So rest of other time we are constantly moving. So that's why we try to be mindful all those postures as much as possible. So with these practices create the important monastic disciplines to be more conducive for the development of the mind, and also cultivation of a humility and ready to listen from senior monks. And most importantly, the reason we bow down to the senior monks and taking care of a senior monks or washing their bowls and helping them is basically learning to let go of our ego and personal views. In service we practice, and that is actually the way that we develop furthermore in the practice of detachment and attachment to our own self, and overcoming the ego and conceit. Now here, as a monk, again we have to be very careful of our monastic rules and compose and restrain our senses, and also honesty within ourselves and within the teachings and within the place. So that's why these are the some of the practices that we should be reflecting again and again, simply to build up our faith and confidence in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and as well as developing ourselves on the practice of a monastic life, and with that we will not be feeling bored of not having chance to read the books, nor not having chance to listen the Dhamma talks from the teachers, but every step becomes part of the journey, and we will be learning bit by bit, mindfully acting things accordingly. So this is how we will be practicing and developing on this path to find a real happiness, and not to be discouraged and disappointed, but to be more cultivation of faith and confidence in the teachings of the Buddha, and knowing that these are working and these are helping to be more happier and more mentally and physically well-being. So that's why we are lucky to have this opportunity here in our center, and I encourage and wish you all the best for this path that you have taken, and may you be successful in this path to find path and fruition eventually. So I offer this as a reflection for the further practices in the Dhamma. Now let's do the chanting.